Random House Audio presents The Exodus Towers, Book 2 of the Dire Earth Cycle, by Jason M. Hough. Read for you by Simon Vance. If a heathen on the ladder, raise your gun high. Take his place, make it matter. This is our time. Lyric by Tilda/Funk, Cape Town, 2270. Inscribed into the Testament of the Ladder by Sister Haley, 2281. Builders? That's a laugh. All they did was drop a cable and a nasty bug. You want to call someone a builder, I say look at Neil Platts. Scads, Darwin, Australia, 2280. Chapter 1. Belém, Brazil, 27th April, 2283. The girl danced for an audience of ghosts. She twirled in a slow, graceful motion, sending ripples through the pristine white dress that draped her lithe form. Her outstretched arms glided through the humid air with a poise and balance Skyler had not seen in many years. She'd yet to notice him. She was a mirage under the bright sun, and he tucked himself in the shadows at the edge of the secluded square. Her focus lay entirely on movement and footing. The cobblestones beneath her bare feet were cracked and uneven, like everything in Belém. Aside from Skyler's motionless form, two skeletal corpses lay in one corner of the courtyard, locked in an infinite embrace, grass sprouting up through their hollow rib cages. She paid no attention to them either. Ghosts, all. The looted remains of boutique shops hid the square from the wide avenue beyond. Skyler had only stepped in to find a defensible, quiet place to prepare his midday meal. If that had been 1 minute ago, or 10, he couldn't say. For now he stood, whisper quiet, beneath a stucco awning that gave some respite from alternating bouts of glaring sunshine and torrential rain. Pillars, once white and elegant, supported the partial ceiling. They were nearly encased in flowering vines now, just like the walls and surrounding rooftops. Even the statue that stood watch over the woman had succumbed to the embrace of the rainforest's green, tentacular limbs. In a few decades the whole city would be engulfed, Skyler thought, just like everywhere else. Except Darwin, of course. A different scourge consumed that place. He leaned against the nearest pillar, wholly absorbed in the fluid motions being performed. The girl was not beautiful, not in the classic sense, not like Tania. She had short, auburn hair that flared as dramatically as her dress, but it was dirty and matted. Her deeply tanned skin showed traces of scars on the forearms. When her skirt billowed on the more enthusiastic turns, Skyler could see welts and scrapes on her toned legs. Despite her exquisite movements and dancer's figure, she was a survivor. She was an immune. Moving with great care, Skyler slipped a handheld radio from his belt. He kept it switched off when scouting, lest the frequent anxious calls from base camp give away his presence to the forbidding wilderness around him. On any other day he'd wait until his return to camp to give an account of his findings, but the sighting of an immune was worth breaking that pattern, he thought. Skyler thumbed the power switch. "It's urgent!" boomed a frenetic voice from the speaker. In one heartbeat, the serenity of the courtyard vanished. Skyler had had the volume on maximum during an earlier downpour and forgotten later to dial it back. The crass sound echoed off the walls, sending a trio of parakeets fluttering from the tangle under the awning. The girl stumbled and caught herself. Her eyes found Skyler and widened. He started to raise his hands, a universal sign of noble intentions, but he scarcely leaned away from the pillar when the girl turned and ran. "Camp Exodus to Skyler! Come in!" Carl's voice blared from the radio. Skyler's hand flew to the device, knocking it loose. It fell to the ground in a plastic clatter. He knelt, snatched it up, and wheeled the volume to 0, all in one motion. When he glanced back up, the courtyard was empty. "Wait!" he called out. She darted into an open archway on the opposite side of the square, and he ran toward it, not bothering to swing his machine gun off his shoulder. He rounded the corner into the arched tunnel and almost had his head blown off. The crack from the handgun blotted out all other sound. The bullet passed so close to his earlobe he felt a tickle. Skyler skidded to a stop and dove back the way he'd come, only just rounding the corner again when another shot rang out, sending chunks of cobblestone into the air mere centimetres from his feet. "Cease fire!" he shouted, barely hearing himself over the high-pitched whine in his head. And she did. The yard fell silent again. "I mean no harm," he called out. "Just relax." No answer came. Cautiously he poked his head around the corner, enough to clear one eye. The hall beyond was empty. "Damn it," he muttered, and bounced to his feet. He ran ahead, his machine-gun instinctively in hand now, pointed at the ground 5 meters in front of him. He slapped the flashlight attached to the barrel and bathed the hall in a pale blue beam, warming to white a second later as the bulb came to full strength. Her bare feet left obvious tracks in the grimy tile floor. She'd taken a turn, then another, moved around a thick root that had wormed up through a crack and jumped a spate of broken glass. Skyler repeated her route, wondering absently how long she'd lived here, and how many times previously she'd danced in the noonday sun without a care in the world. "Often, till I came along," he thought. At the end of the hall he came to a bedroom. Her flowing white dress lay in a heap in the door-jamb, a portion of the skirt hooked by a nasty splinter that jutted from the wooden frame. She'd shrugged out of the garment and left it like the meaningless trinket it was. The window on the far wall had been thrown open, and he could see the wide, churning waters of the Rio Pará beyond. In another corner he saw a green bedroll, upright and neatly tied in a circular bundle. A lantern sat on the floor next to it. His ears still rang from the woman's failed attempt to shoot him in the face. She could be screaming taunts at him from outside, and he doubted he'd hear it. Nevertheless, he chanced to look out the window. The young woman was sprinting across a parking lot toward a row of cottages that fronted the swift river. She was naked save for a pair of hiking boots on her feet. In one hand dangled her pistol, and she clutched a heavy olive-green backpack in the other. As he watched, she shimmered the full bag over one shoulder, then the other, before disappearing from view. Not once did she look back. Skyler sighed. "And the least of your worries, dear." Remembering the radio, he switched it on and immediately heard Carl's frantic voice. "In now! Urgent!" What? Skyler growled into the mic. Everything was urgent. The word had no meaning any more. "You just scared off Skyler, thank God! Some colonists are missing, along with a tower." He closed his eyes and willed himself to relax. "They stole it?" "No, God, no. They were working on the reservoir perimeter and reported hearing something in the rainforest. They've made no contact since." "What did they hear?" "The leader said it sounded like a choir." "A choir? As in singing?" "Those were his words." Skyler pinched his nose between his eyes to stem a coming headache. "Did they mention if they ate some wild mushrooms, or wandered too far from their aura tower, or anything like that?" "I know how it sounds," Carl said, "but this is a reliable group that has been building that perimeter barricade for 2 weeks." Okay, Skyler said. "I'll head over there. How long ago did they go silent?" 2 hours. Skyler swore. "And you're just telling me now?" "You had your radio off." Skyler glanced at the device. "Fair enough. All right, then. Send a team to meet me there. People who can shoot." Carl spoke over him. "Sorry, friend. Tania doesn't want to risk another tower." "Oh, for fuck's sake." His frustration with the frugal use of the aura towers fell on deaf ears, unless he spoke to Tania alone, a scenario that happened rarely in the last 2 months. She kept to orbit, mostly, after an initial wondrous week of exploring the bizarre alien towers. The logistics of survival took precedence, and Skyler couldn't begrudge that. Still, a weekly visit might be nice, for the colony's morale as much as his. "If they were moving," Carl added, "and something happened to them, the tower could be adrift." Skyler grunted. If true, the tower might reach a river or pond. No one had yet tried to send a tower into deep water. They were as likely to explode in world-consuming hellfire as they were to simply float, sink, or stop. As such, Camp Exodus ratified a decree, put forth by Tania, that the towers should be kept away from any water deeper than 10 centimeters. For his part, Skyler had chuckled at the arbitrary number, and counted himself among the few No.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?